So, Jimmy, in your expression, in your writing, I saw this expression more and less. And there is a mistake in terms of collocation. You spelled it correctly, the words make sense. We are talking about quantity, right? More and less. But we use a different connection between those two words, more and less. Do you know what connection will be there? So we say, and you can actually write it right underneath, we say more or less.
More or less.
More or less. So everything was
not
correct.
and.
Not and, right. So everything was correct. So it's more or less. What is the meaning of that phrase?
Just.
Do you know another word you can replace that phrase with?
No,
So another word we use, I'm not sure you're familiar with the word, is somewhat.
somewhat.
Somewhat. Do you know how to spell it? Or something I like to use in my lectures. Yes, somewhat is a one word. Good.
Oh,
it's
it's
just
one
one word.
word.
I like to use in a lecture when we have an answer and then we're going to round it. What is another word for when you round the rounded amount? It starts with an A.
So round has another
Rounded,
word.
yeah, and there's another word. So it's not the exact answer, but it is,
An estimated.
well, estimated will be one, but when we actually get the correct answer and the exact answer, we call it approximation, approximately. Approximately. So somewhat, approximately.
But approximately is just a range, right? Just like
An estimation.
Approximately is more or less.
more,
So it's not much more, not much less.
just like you say 14.9 approximately is 15, right?
Right. So it's more or less 15. Can you say it's more or less 15?
Oh, for me, I don't think so. But
You don't think so?
yeah, because more or less for me is not too much and not too less, just in the middle.
So you kind of think of more or less as an average?
Just no, not an average. Just is a kind of feeling, right? Just
Yeah, no, approximately can be used to replace more or less. Let's try this exercise. If you say the dosage range is within, so let's say you have dosage range, let's say you got 250,
Yeah.
okay? So how do you, and your range, your save range was, let's say, 225 to 275. How do you write inequality for that?
so I
Write it down. Write down the
You said
inequality.
the safe range is from
Yes, so I got the calculation, my calculation is 250, and my save range was 225 to 275. So how do you write it mathematically? How do you write it using inequality symbols?
So I will say it is safe dosage.
Right, but I really wonder about write it mathematically, and then we'll take it to the English word.
So
Remember how you're using inequality symbol to write it? That certain amount is within.
within.
So certain amount.
The 250 within the range.
Right, so that'll be the English sentence, but how do you write it mathematically?
Actually,
Using
I
inequality symbols.
So it's using this one or
Right, so you can, so okay, let me put it on the number line. So how do you write mathematically? So let me extend it. So let's say this was 250 milligrams and the minimum was 225 and the maximum was 275.
so this one is mathematic way, right?
So how do you write it mathematically using these symbols, inequality symbols, to express that?
Okay, I see.
Okay, hold on. So one
Just like
hold
this.
on.
Right.
Per day
And
is
sometimes we
400.
say,
Less than
Uh-huh.
and Yes, these two is less.
Less than.
Yes.
So the minimum is less than the allowed dosage, and the allowed dosage is less than maximum, right?
Allowed dosage.
Right. Right.
Oh, it's not
Allowed,
all the
like
dose.
whatever the subject was on the calculation. So, but now the question is, in math we also have this notation. Are you familiar with this notation?
Yeah, equal.
So how do you say
equal
it?
And
How do you say it?
how to say?
225 is,
More. Oh, more and less.
How many?
say it again.
More or less.
It's less or
Equal.
equal to. So do you know how we say less or equal to?
Oh, I don't know.
So for example, if you don't know the dosage,
Yeah.
let's say you don't know it's 250, you didn't do the calculation yet, and you have 225 is less or equal to my x,
Oh.
and that's less or equal to my 275.
Mm.
So how do you read this?
Just
The last sentence. How do you read it?
the is no. 225
Mm-hmm.
less and equal than x.
Good. Add a verb to this, what you said.
Go ahead. Oh, we just started this. Okay, no problem.
Everything was good, you were just missing a verb.
225 is less
What time is my train?
and equal than
You'll have a time.
oh,
Say it again.
less or equal
Right,
than 2x,
right.
and x is less and or equal than 275.
Right. So we're not saying less and equal, just like we're not saying more and less.
Or less.
So the word I'm going to use there is or.
Or.
Can you say this sentence starting reading from this?
Just 275 more or equal than x.
Excellent. The verb was missing again. Try it again.
Oh,
It's okay.
275 is more or less, more or equal than x, and x is more or equal than 225.
Excellent. Good. So you'll remember that it's more or less.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, approximately is a good synonym for it. About, and there is lots of those. Okay. So more or less is another collocation that is important to know. And we got these. I'm going to put this away. And so continue about quantities. There are these words that express a large amount. There are three words, three very common words:
Mm.
big, great, and large.
Mm.
And native speaker of English will connect any of these words that I gave you before
Mm.
with one of those. We also call those collocations. So I'm going to ask you to try to place these words into those three groups.
So like a
So
big
for example, you
number.
say, right. So is it better to say big number of, great number of, or large number of? And if you don't know, you can just put them to the side.
Oh, I think so.
And if you do, then you can place them if it sounds familiar. For example, excitement.
Oh.
And I should tell you also that big is usually connected with happening or
events.
event or size.
Yeah.
Great,
Feeling and qualities.
feelings or qualities, and large
Large number.
will be with measurements.
Yes.
Okay, so it's going to be easier from here, right?
Quality.
What word do you have?
Population.
Population. Would you say New York City has a big population, great population, or a large population?
I think
But-
my calculation is wrong.
I'm not sure the qualities and
Snap.
Yeah, I would say large
The 400
population.
is per dose.
large
No,
Yes.
it's- one is per dose and the other one is per dose.
feeling.
I'm going to